Friday again, and that means Questions with Father Luke. I'm Father Luke of Covenant Anglican Church in San Marcos, Texas. And today's question is kind of a two-parter. It's why do Anglicans use a prayer book, and why are there so many prayer books? Well, as Anglicans, we use a prayer book because our worship is rooted in a shared, structured liturgy that shapes both our public worship and our private devotion. In fact, the first Book of Common Prayer was compiled in 1549 by Thomas Cranmer with the intent to put the worship into the common language of the people. It was also to unify the church in its practices and to weave scripture into the daily prayers of clergy and laity alike. For Anglicans, the prayer book is more than just a simple set of services, though it includes the format of how do we host a Sunday morning service? How do we host a prayer service? The prayer book, though, is a spiritual rule of life. It keeps worship biblical, balanced, and consistent. And it ensures that prayer and sacrament aren't just something that's left to the individual preference alone. And so the idea that we bring to it is that we are praying from the same book. We're using the same kinds of prayers that have been used throughout history. As doing so, we are formed together as one body, across parishes, across generations. And so, as an Anglican studies professor of mine said from Regent, we are, as Anglicans, are unashamedly a worship-formed people. Worship forms us, and that's what the Book of Common Prayer calls us to. It calls us to worship. Now, all of that is true, but as the question notes, right, there are a lot of prayer books out there. The prayer book itself from England has been gone through many revisions, even in the United States, and many provinces throughout the world have developed their own prayer books. And this is not because Anglicans are flighty. Rather, it is because Anglicans have a missional DNA that seeks to spread to other places, but also take root in those places. So as Anglicanism spread globally, local churches adapted the Book of Common Prayer to their own languages, to their own cultures, to their own pastoral needs. And so many in the Anglican Church of North America, we use a prayer book that was published in 2019. But each of these different prayer books from around the globe are a little bit different. They reflect a shared heritage, but with different styles, sometimes wording, sometimes theological emphasis. Here within the ACNA, the Anglican Church in North America, there's some variety between the liturgy and the prayer book choices among many parishes. And that's in part because as the ACNA developed, we didn't have a prayer book to start off with. We began and we were reaching into the treasure trove of history, prayer book history, to piece together liturgies that felt, that different pastors felt would best suit their people and their particular places where they lived. And with the publishing of our prayer book in 2019, there has been encouragement throughout the ACNA from our bishops to begin using it, to really use it. But there's not been like a heavy, kind of enforcement arm or whatever from the bishops for us to do so. Here at Covenant, we use the 2019 prayer book with the addition of one part of the blessing from the Kenyan Anglican Church prayer book at the end of our service. And so the idea that one prayer book ideal that began with the Reformation to really unite the people of England in the worship of God, it has evolved into this family of prayer books that share a common DNA. That is scripture-soaked prayer, scripture-soaked liturgy, emphasis on the sacraments and the historical creeds, but it gets expressed in locally adapted ways. So if you have questions or thoughts about the liturgical life and the using of a prayer book, then share them in the comment section below, or better yet, come join us on a Sunday and let's connect.